Evil is not a word that I use lightly. But the more I think about the behavior of Prince Harry, the more I think about Prince Harry and his behavior towards the late Queen Elizabeth II during her dying months on this earth, that E word keeps on coming to my mind.
Hey, it's the husband formerly known as Prince. Any luck getting a job?
Oh, they had me driving for Uber Eats, but there were too many damn rules. Don't touch the food, don't taste the food, drive on the road.
I'm sorry, Rowdy Weddy.
You know, there's no point in continuing to fight anymore. As I said, life is precious. I don't know how much longer my father has. Members of my family will never forgive me for writing a book. Of course, they will never forgive me for lots of things.
He's just a spoilt brat, isn't he? And he says that the king doesn't talk to him over this. Well, who can blame the king? That's just absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I mean, the man is losing his mind, if you ask me.
He's doing the rounds saying, please pick up your phones. No one's talking to me. He looks just like Thomas Markle.
At the heart of it is a family dispute. And it makes me really, really sad that we're sitting here today, 5 years later, where a decision that was made, most likely, in fact, I know, to keep us under the roof.
What if everything you thought you knew about royal family drama was just the surface? What if behind closed palace doors, King Charles just executed the most ruthless financial assassination in modern royal history? Prince Harry thought he could have his cake and eat it too. Keep the royal benefits while trashing the family that gave him everything. He was dead wrong. And what happened next will shock you to your core. King Charles didn't just cut ties with his rebellious son, he obliterated them. 4 years, even after Harry's dramatic exit from royal duties, a secret financial lifeline worth an estimated £1 million annually kept flowing from the royal coffers straight into Harry's California bank account.
Breaking news and a statement from Prince Harry and Meghan saying they're stepping back from royal duties. We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family and work to become financially independent.
This wasn't charity. This was enablement on a royal scale. While Harry and Meghan were busy playing victims on global television, crying about their financial struggles and independence, they were quietly pocketing royal cash every single month. The hypocrisy was staggering. Here was a man publicly denouncing the institution that raised him, while secretly depending on that same institution to fund his luxury lifestyle thousands of miles away.
He lost at the trial court level on this push to make the British royal family pay for his security when he goes to the UK.
Once they realised that myself, my wife, and our kids are happier outside of the institution, please just look at the fact. Look at the risks, look at the threat, look at the impact that if anything was to happen to me, my wife, or my father's grandchildren, look where the responsibility lies.
What a manipulation. My father's grandchildren. They're gonna and it will be his fault.
It's gaslighting on a grand scale.
But Charles had been watching. Every interview, every tell-all, every calculated attack on the family, he was keeping score. And when the final tally came in, the king made a decision that would change everything forever. With one stroke of his pen, that £1 million safety net vanished into thin air. No more royal welfare for the runaway prince. But the way Charles delivered this devastating blow was even more shocking than the decision itself.
He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile.
Up their whole thing, went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood. Yeah. But America did finally find a way to say, you know what, we love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much of it.
This wasn't a gentle family discussion over tea. This wasn't a warning shot across the bow. This was a royal execution carried out in the coldest, most calculated way possible. Prince Harry discovered his financial lifeline had been severed not through a phone call from his father, not through a family meeting, but through cold, legal documents that landed on his desk like a death sentence. The sheer brutality of this approach sent shockwaves through Harry's inner circle. For a man who had already felt abandoned by his family, this felt like the ultimate betrayal.
They're ridiculous.
No.
She never stops whining.
No. That is so beautiful. No.
There was no courtesy, no explanation, No opportunity for dialogue. Just silence, followed by financial devastation. Sources close to Harry describe the moment as earth-shattering. Here was a prince who, despite all his public bravado about independence, still harbored hopes of eventual reconciliation. That hope died the moment those documents arrived. Charles wasn't just cutting off money, he was cutting off his son's heart. But the timing of this financial assassination revealed an even darker truth about the king's strategy.
The fact that he is putting his father through this in the final years of his life. And Meghan, there are members of the royal family who believe that Harry's behavior hastened the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II.
I believe that too. That's what I say. I say those two killed the Queen.
While the world watched King Charles battle cancer with dignity and grace, behind palace walls he was orchestrating one of the most strategically vicious moves in royal history. You'd think a man facing his own mortality might seek peace with his estranged son. You'd be wrong. Charles chose this exact moment, while fighting for his life, while the nation rallied around their ailing monarch, to deliver the killing blow to Harry's finances. This wasn't coincidence. This was warfare. The king knew Harry was simultaneously fighting an expensive legal battle over UK security arrangements, burning through cash with every court appearance.
You know, I love my country. I always have done. Despite what some people in that country have done. Where is the duty of care? Because, as I said, life is precious, and it is very clear that from 2020, because I was no longer allowed an official role, and because I decided to remove myself eventually from the institution, that my life got devalued from the highest score to the lowest score.
By pulling the financial plug at this precise moment, Charles wasn't just removing support, he was actively sabotaging his son's legal position. Without royal backing, Harry's security case became exponentially weaker and infinitely more expensive. It was a chess move worthy of Machiavelli himself, executed by a dying king who refused to show weakness even to his own blood. But what drove Charles to such ruthless extremes reveals the true depth of Harry's betrayal. There's a line you don't cross in the royal family, and Harry didn't just cross it, he obliterated it with nuclear force.
We've just heard that Prince Harry has indeed lost his case against the UK government.
Harry's digging an even bigger hole for himself here.
Well, I think he's dug so deep now, he'll strike water any day now.
His memoir, Spare, wasn't just tell-all literature. It was a guided missile aimed directly at the people King Charles loves most. And when Harry painted Queen Camilla as a manipulative, dangerous schemer, he signed his own financial death warrant. Charles had endured years of public humiliation from his son. The Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the constant media circus. He'd weathered it all with stoic silence. But when Harry attacked Camilla, something inside the king snapped. This wasn't just criticism. This was character assassination of the woman who had stood by Charles through his darkest hours.
Whether I have an official role or not is irrelevant to the threats, risks, and impact.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile living in luxury in California while the rest of the world's at a cost of living crisis, moaning and whining about an institution which gave you the titles on which you now trade millions of dollars. What are you talking about? What stakes?
Palace insiders described Charles's reaction as nuclear. The man who had spent decades trying to rehabilitate Camilla's public image watched his own son destroy years of careful work with a few poisonous paragraphs. The betrayal cut deeper than any previous attack because it was personal, it was vicious, and it was unforgivable. But Harry wasn't finished. His assault on Prince William would push his father's patience beyond all breaking points, leading to consequences that would reshape the entire royal landscape.
It's not a financial thing. Working royals do not profit. They do not use their names to make money. It's an honour to have an HRH.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she's continued to use this HRH when they've been instructed not to, I think is absolutely infuriating in Buckingham Palace.
You're in America now, and we don't give a shit about you. You're not our fucking prince. You'll never be king. We hate your wife. Stay at home in your $29 million mansion, all right?
When the royal allowance disappeared, it didn't just hurt Harry's bank balance. It destroyed his entire legal strategy. His high-profile court battle for taxpayer-funded security in the UK suddenly became a financial nightmare he could no longer afford to fight. Without official royal duties and stripped of financial backing, Harry's security case crumbled before his eyes. The Crown wasn't just cutting ties, it was systematically dismantling every avenue Harry had for maintaining his royal privileges.
But of course, the real measure of success of both of them will be the same as it always has been. How much damage can they inflict on our royal family, on our monarchy? I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags with a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money.
Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles.
Take me out back and shoot me, okay? Just end my agony now.
A new poll by Find Out Now has revealed that most of the public is supporting the King in this family feud, ongoing family feud, after Harry's bombshell BBC interview. It follows the Court of Appeal's decision to not overturn the ruling on his security in the UK.
Every court appearance now came with crushing costs he had to bear alone. The message was crystal clear. You can't bite the hand that feeds you and expect it to keep paying your bills. Harry's legal team scrambled to reassess their position, but the damage was done. The prince who once commanded royal resources was now just another wealthy litigant burning through his own fortune in British courts. Meanwhile, in California, the bills kept mounting. Mortgage payments on multi-million-dollar properties, round-the-clock security teams, and a lifestyle built on the edge of celebrity and royalty, all of it suddenly became Harry's problem alone.
It's hardly a secret that the palace has already conducted secret meetings with members of the government to discuss putting the plan into action.
How dare you even consider changing your family name? This is your legacy. This is your father. It's your grandfather. It's your grandmother, Queen Elizabeth. There's no way that you should reject that legacy. In fact, you're very lucky to have it.
But the financial pressure was nothing compared to the psychological warfare that was just beginning. This wasn't just about money. It was about identity, belonging, and the last remaining connection between a wayward prince and the institution that made him. For Harry, that royal allowance represented more than financial security. It was proof that somewhere, deep down, he was still considered family. When Charles severed that final thread, he wasn't just removing a safety net. He was delivering a message that cut to Harry's core. You are no longer one of us. The psychological impact was devastating. Sources close to Harry described a man not just financially blindsided, but emotionally shattered. The allowance had been his last tangible link to the life he'd abandoned. Without it, he was truly adrift, no longer royal, not yet fully independent, caught in a limbo of his own making. The rejection stung deeper than any public criticism or family argument because it was final, official, and irreversible. Palace insiders revealed that this decision signaled something far worse than financial punishment. It meant Harry was no longer considered family in the way that counts. But even Meghan Markle, the architect of their royal exit, wasn't prepared for what came next. The woman who had orchestrated their departure from royal life, who had consistently pushed for complete independence from the monarchy, found herself facing the harsh reality of what that independence actually meant. Despite all her public rhetoric about breaking free from royal constraints, even Meghan was reportedly stunned by the sudden brutality of Charles's financial cutoff. Sources within their circle revealed that Meghan had been urging Harry to sever all royal ties completely, but she expected it to happen on their terms, not the king's. The timing and method of the allowance termination caught even the mastermind of Megxit completely off guard. This forced a fundamental reassessment of their entire California operation. Every business decision, every brand partnership, every media deal now carried exponentially higher stakes. The royal safety net that had quietly cushioned their transition into American celebrity was gone, leaving them exposed to the brutal realities of maintaining their lifestyle through their own efforts alone. But while Meghan scrambled to adjust their strategy, the implications for their children would prove even more heartbreaking. King Charles's decision wasn't made in anger. It was made with surgical precision as part of a broader strategy to protect the monarchy's reputation. Palace sources revealed that the king saw Harry's continued financial support not as family assistance, but as institutional weakness. Every dollar that flowed to Harry was, in Charles's view, funding a narrative that threatened the very foundation of the monarchy. The interviews, the memoirs, the lawsuits, it all added up to a sustained attack on the crown's credibility, funded by the crown itself. The irony was too bitter to ignore. Charles understood that for the monarchy to survive and thrive, it needed to project strength, unity, and consequence for betrayal. Cutting off Harry wasn't just punishment, it was a public demonstration that even royal blood doesn't exempt you from accountability. The king's message reverberated through royal circles and beyond. The institution is bigger than any individual, including members of the royal family itself. But this calculated preservation strategy would come at a devastating personal cost that would haunt the next generation. Archie and Lilibet, innocent children born into royal bloodlines but raised oceans away from the throne, suddenly found their royal inheritance slipping away before they were old enough to understand what they were losing. Their prince and princess titles now felt more symbolic than secure, empty honors disconnected from real royal privilege or support. The financial severance meant more than just money. It represented the systematic erosion of their place in the royal succession and family structure. Without financial ties or active royal roles for their parents, these children's future connection to the monarchy became increasingly tenuous. Royal watchers worried that by the time Archie and Lilibet were old enough to comprehend their royal heritage, the bridge back to the royal fold might no longer exist. The family name would remain, but the substance, the support, the connection, the belonging, was already disappearing. Their grandfather's decision to financially abandon their father meant these royal children might grow up as Americans with titles they can't use and a heritage they can't access. The cruelty of this generational punishment revealed the true depth of Charles's rage. What started as a family dispute has transformed into something far more sinister, the complete excommunication of a prince who dared to challenge the crown. Palace insiders no longer speak of temporary estrangement or eventual reconciliation. They speak of permanent separation, irreparable damage, and a bridge burned beyond any hope of rebuilding. King Charles, despite battling serious illness, has shown no signs of softening his resolve. If anything, his declining health has only intensified his focus on securing a legacy untainted by family rebellion. The allowance cut wasn't an emotional outburst. It was a calculated final move in a chess game that Harry never realized he was losing. Prince William reportedly stands firmly behind his father's decision, with whispers of plans to strip Harry and Meghan of their remaining titles entirely. The monarchy is closing ranks, cutting out the infection, and moving forward without the son who chose public warfare over private loyalty. The boy who once stood at the heart of the royal family, beloved and protected, has been systematically erased from its future. What remains is a man caught between two worlds, one that expelled him and another still struggling to accept him. And with every passing day, the chasm grows wider, deeper, and more impossible to bridge. The royal family's message is final. There are no second chances for treason, no forgiveness for betrayal, and no way back from the path Harry chose. The prince is dead. Long live the king.